Hey guys, it's Carla. Today I'm starting with my raw sienna background and I've sketched on my outline. So, and if you want this outline, it's on my Facebook page. If you look in the description below, there's a link to that, and you can go on there and print off the traceable and the reference photo. So with a round synthetic brush, I'm mixing up a very watered down watercolor. And if it's not watered down, then you're not going to be able to see that raw sienna color through it. And I just kind of like that look. Kind of looks messy, I guess. So I've put that color on, and now I've lightened it a little bit, and I'm going into just certain areas and changing it up a little bit, so because I don't want it all the same shade. So this is still watered down, and I'm just very loosely brushing that on. And now I'm mixing up a little bit darker shade, still watered down, and brush it into other areas. But I just want to keep it very loose and not really think about it too much. And you don't have to be super careful around your outlines because you can still see them through this watered down paint. And now I'm going to mix up a skin tone, just a shade I want for the skin. And I'm using a small flat brush for this. But again, I want to keep this loose. I'm not trying to like smooth everything out because I want it to be very loose and kind of messy. I don't know what the technical term is for it, but I just call it loose and messy because to me that's what it looks like when I'm finished. All right, so now I'm starting on the hair, and you can make the hair whatever color you want. But I like to start with the kind of darker tones first and then highlight them later. So once you've got this shade in, you can highlight them as much as you want and kind of change the color a little bit. And you can put darker shades in there for depth and dimension. I'm still using that flat synthetic brush, but you can use just whatever you're comfortable with. All you're doing is putting color on, so this doesn't require any certain brush. So now I'm streaking in some highlights, and the flat brush does work better for this because I'm using the edge of it, and so it kind of gives me that hair look, but still just very loose, nothing detailed. Now on my palette, I've got, from top to bottom, I've got white, phthalo blue, magenta, raw umber, and raw sienna. So in the areas where maybe it's deeper, I guess, like where his arm is pressing into her hair, it would be darker right there. So I'm just brushing in some of that, and then at the bottom of his hair would be darker. So now I'm mixing up a color for her shirt. Again, you can change this up any way you want. And now a shade for their jeans. But they don't have to be jeans. I mean, you could make them another color too. In my mind, she's wearing like a denim skirt and he's wearing blue jeans. So I want to put the base color on his shirt, and then I can come back and give it some dimension, but I want to get this first layer of white on there. The reason I chose white for his shirt is because when we get the shadow in there from the umbrella, part of his shirt is going to be, most of his shirt is going to be shaded, but part of it is not going to be, and I wanted to make it really bright, so I'm just making it white. So now I've mixed up a shade for the dock, and a lot of this is going to be, well, all of it's going to be covered, so it's going to change the shade a little bit, but I just want to get these planks in there, leave that little slither between them to indicate that it's boards. And then with that flat synthetic brush, I'm just very lightly touching in some little lines to darken those slithers. So now I'll start on the umbrella. And this umbrella, you could make it different. You could make it a different color, or more of the little triangle sections. You could do that, but this just shows you how to do it. If you want to do it a different way, that's fine. And because this is white, I'm going to have to come back later and brighten it up, maybe a couple of times, but I want to get that base coat in there and let it dry. This handle can be really any color you want it. I think this is a sweet image of a little gentleman keeping her out of the sun and not himself. Now I'm using a round synthetic brush, and I'm just barely letting the tip of the bristles touch the canvas with white, and I'm being very loose with this. I'm holding it way back at the end of the brush so that I don't get too controlled with it. And I'm just kind of scumbling in some watermarks. Some of these will be lighter, some will be darker. I'm using quite a bit of paint on the brush, but as I use the paint that's on the brush, then the strokes get, not quite as bold. So you've got a variety there. And now that that is dry, the umbrella is dry, I'm going to put another coat on it. I want anything that's going to be in the sun, that's not going to be shaded by the umbrella, I want it to be really bright. And that will help with the illusion of the shadow that it casts. Just putting a little bit of a highlight on each of these things, whatever they are. So now I'm going to start giving his shirt some dimensions, some little creases and wrinkles and stuff. So on this, you can just look at your reference photo and see where these are, but honestly, I'm just scumbling them in. I'm not really thinking much about it, so you might want to create your own wrinkles and creases. And now I'm just brightening up that white a little bit. Some of this will be covered by the shadow of the umbrella, but I still want to get it in there and get it all the same shade for now. Now with watered down white, I'm just softening it up a little bit. I want it watered down so that I don't lose all my brown that I put in there, but this just softens it up. All right, now I'm mixing up a watered down raw sienna just to give the dock a different flavor, which again, this is all gonna change when I get the shadow in there. All right, so now I'm making a very watered down dark shade for the shadow of my umbrella. This is very watered down, and I want to think about where my umbrella would be casting the shadow. So it's going to kind of be angled down like that, but I don't want it to be a straight line because these are not flat objects. So it's going to be that general shape, but not straight lines to create it. So this is where the edge of my shadow will be. So anything over from it is going to be shaded, except the water, because the umbrella is not casting a shadow down there on the water, but it is on them and the dock. So I'm just, with this watered down dark shade, I'm just scumbling in over everything that would be under that umbrella. So all that work that we did, we're just changing it completely. And then the shadow would come all the way over here on the dock and down this way. All right, so now this part that's out in the sunlight is going to be really bright, and the brighter you make it, the more it helps with this illusion of the cast shadow from the umbrella. So all of this has a highlight. His hair is highlighted, all the part that's out from under the umbrella. Make sure you don't highlight the part that's under the umbrella because that'll ruin this illusion. Okay, so now with the synthetic brush, I'm brightening up some of that deck, the dock, the part that's not being shaded. And then with a clean, damp, flat brush, while that's still wet, I'm rubbing off some of that paint where the boards are separated. So here's my final coat on my umbrella, and I'm mostly just keeping it up toward the top, just making the top really bright. And the same thing with the blue part. I'm just making this really pop right here to help with my illusion. And now with a stiff bristled fan brush, I'm going into the white, and I'm not watering this down, and I'm tapping in some reflective light on the water. And I don't want to angle my brush. I want to keep it standing straight up so that I don't create this crescent shape that the brush has. I just want to use the very tip of the bristles. Again, this just helps to make it look sunnier outside, so it'll help with that that illusion that we're creating here. Don't be afraid to go really bright with your white, because it needs to look really sunny. And that's it, guys. Hope y'all like this one and give it a try. And thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great day. God bless you.